And welcome back to me channel. Unless you're new here and then just welcome, my name is Rusty. And this is me channel where I talk about my favorite movies and spotlight movies I love, mostly horror, and talk about my favorite music, mostly metal, which actually I just pretty much post our band stuff now, but it's okay. So, we're continuing this little spotlight where I wanted to throw some special love out to some of them on my top list that I had not done videos on. As you know, I have not been doing a lot of videos because I'm trying to put together a sound system to be able to master my band's music better, and been going through a lot of stuff with that. So, but I do miss it, and I do try and will be trying to do more reviews because I love talking about my films. And so yeah, we are going to move on now to Bone Lake. What a surprise. Bone Lake was absolutely awesome. Now, what's interesting about Bone Lake, aside from it was released in 2025, it was directed by Mercedes Bryce Morgan, written by Joshua Friedlander, starring Alex Rowe, Maddie Hasson, and Margot Pigossi. So aside from that, what was interesting is that although it sat on my wish list for a while, it was never one of those that was an ASAP. You know, even in my wish list, which as example, my wish list of just films in eBay is like 450 that I've run across. And they are, of course, at different levels. You know, you're like, this is an ASAP. This one I can wait. This one, and a lot of times it has to do with how many are available. You know, well, this one's widely available. This one is hard to find, and this place has 3 left. I better get this. So there's all kind of stuff that goes into it. But despite Bone Lake looking interesting to me, and I knew that I wanted it, it didn't have the ASAP in my brain. It wasn't get it as soon as possible. After seeing it, though, after I did finally get around to getting it, you know, especially when I was trying to do all of those that I thought was going to be on my top list, so I wanted to grab as much horror from 2025 as I could. I wanted to give it a chance, and I did it. I was just blown away by this movie. This movie is a very small cast. It is, we have a couple named Sage and Diego who have rented a B&B lakeside cabin. Huge lakeside cabin. Mansion, actually, is actually what it looks like. Big old colonial style home. And they are going to, you know, have some time off and rejuvenate their marriage or whatever people like that do, and have some fun. And so they're there, and we get used to them. And then another couple comes in the barbarian type situation, having double booked it. And they have booked this place too. So since it's a huge, gigantic place, they talked them into, why can't we just both stay here? And then, because they've screwed us, we will enjoy the weekend and get our money back. Pretty much the exact same thing that happened in Barbarian. You know, Georgina Campbell, she shows up. He's there. It was double booked. Why don't you just stay here? We'll get our money back and get a place to stay. So that worked out fine. As things start going during the movie, though, first we have to go back to the intro. This movie holds the distinction, because I think I said it during my top 10 list. One of the distinctions about this movie is I don't think I've ever seen a regular movie that completely filled its nudity quota in the first 3 minutes. The death scene, the kill scene of Brett and Lisa, who were obviously another couple that had stayed there, being hunted through the woods and murdered viciously. You know, that arrow through the testicles was, what the fuck? Okay. But yeah, I had never seen like horror movie nudity quota filled so quickly. And I'm like, did they not have time to put clothes on before they went screaming and running for their lives? What were they doing when it began? Obviously, you know, whatever that word is. Not incognito, but you know what I'm saying. So you have these two naked people running through the woods while they're being shot at by arrows and chased by axe-wielding psychos, and you're like, okay, well, I'm definitely into this. I'll continue the movie after I get through playing with the freeze frame and stuff, though. But never had I reached for a freeze frame my remote so fast, and never had I seen a movie fill its nudity quota within the first 3 minutes. I mean, everything you wanted to see, you could see. You know, you could definitely check that box off. You know, is there any nudity in this movie? Yeah. Is there like balanced nudity, like both, for both genders, for all people? Yep. So you get 2 boxes checked off like right at the beginning. Think of me what you will. But those are check boxes that are on my list when I review a movie. Or when I watch a movie. Especially a horror movie. So now that you had that like remarkable intro that really threw you for a loop and really got you into it, you're back into where we were, which was Sage and Diego, and now they're dealing with this other couple, Will and Cindy, I guess. Cindy, Cynthia, whatever, I don't know. But it doesn't take you long before you start kind of, you sort of evolve watching this movie intellectually, just like Sage and Diego do. You start kind of thinking something's up about the time they do. They sort of mirror your feelings. You know, you're like going, I don't know about them two. And then all of a sudden there's a scene with them going, I don't know about these two. And you're like, I know, right? People following along here. That's good. Yeah. So I really did feel like Diego and Sage were like following along. You know, okay, yeah, probably I admit that I probably like answered them a couple of times. Like, I don't know, there's something weird about her. And, you know, and I would answer the screen like, I know, right? Yeah, there is. I don't know. What do you think's going on? I don't know. What do you think's going on, Diego? You know, and then he'll say, and I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm like, wait a second, I'm in this movie somehow. But I liked the way that they seemed to follow along, and their questions were my questions, and we were getting them about the same time. Then when they found those rooms with all that stuff in it, I'm like, look, dude, I don't care if I had to walk out of here. This isn't Until Dawn. Okay, there's no rain wall keeping me from getting the fuck away from here. I'm going to the nearest Costco or whatever and getting a Uber or some shit, but I'm out of here. That's would have been my answer when I found those rooms. So I would have exited the movie at that time if it was me, because I'd have been like, I don't know where we are or what the hell's going on. And I'm already like, really, these two, Will and Sin, they're shady. So now we have these very strange rooms, including one that looks like it belongs in 50 Shades of Grey, and another one that looks like it belongs in American Psycho. And either way, I've seen way too many horror movies to stay my ass here. So I'm going to the store and not coming back. So I wouldn't have been there for the rest of the movie. but I did get to see it. So, when the shit starts hitting the fan and you start figuring out what's going on, and you figure out that Will and Sin, and this is another wild twist in this movie, they're brother and sister. They're brother and sister, but they're a couple. And they're engaging in activity. So you have this gross factor, along with your what the fuck factor, along with, oh shit, you're in some pretty shit now, to this Sage and Diego. And when it all starts coming together and they go off, the movie literally, like, to me, and maybe to some of you horror fans out there, this movie really turned into Your Next at this point. When it all got down to it and the battle started, the way that they fought each other, the tricks they tried to use, the whole movie really from that point on reminded me of the final act of Your Next. You know, it really gave me those vibes. And it got bloodier and bloodier and bloodier. I did not, based on the kind of movie that I thought it was, I really did not expect it to get as, like that movie Revenge. It got a lot more hardcore with the blood and the guts and the survival and the slasher-esque chase scenes. And the kills, or the attempted kills, and then the real kills. By the time that they got down into the boat at the very end, and you then got to witness the main kill, you know, the big kill. Because they were both killed by the end, Will and Sin. And Sage and Diego, they turned into like Sisu, right? I mean, they seemed so soft and normal, right? They seemed like this soft, normal little middle-class couple, power nerds, or what they used to call them? Yuppies. Yeah. They were like this little power yuppies. And, just shows you what your life being in danger will do for you, because these power yuppies turned into straight up killing machines, survival machines, and I kind of liked that. I liked the way that when it was all built up, not only did you evolve intellectually with them as they figured out something was wrong and trying to figure out this situation, which just got grosser and more gross the more that you learned about this brother and sister, the more fucked up it began. So you go thinking they're psychos, and then it's like, no, they're psychos. And then it's like, no, they're like psychos. Right on up to, these are two fucking lunatics, right? Just everything about them. And they've been that way since kids. Not like they were born psychos. But I think the trick that Bone Lake does to a person who watches it is that, based on the scenario, based on the first act, you're not really prepared for where it's going to go. Then during the second act, it gets more meaty and more horror. Now this is after you've seen this horrible intro, right? So you know things can get worse, but you're taken up here. Then that's what's good about this movie, is like, you know, that intro takes you up here. And then the first act brings you down to a normal thriller type. interesting stuff going on. What is going on here? And then it immediately starts to curve again. And you start going up during the second act as you start learning more and more, and you're intrigued by this mystery. You're intrigued by what's going on and who and what it could be. And then when the second act bleeds into the third act and you find out who this brother and sister are, what they've been doing, you then connect that back to the intro, and now you're on that planet, on Aliens, We're in some real pretty shit now. Yeah, you really are. And it's not going to be easy. That was the biggest thing about it, is that once you realize exactly how psycho these two are, that's when you really realize that, this isn't going to be easy. These people have been doing it. These two are psychos way beyond the veil, and all of your little tricks, all of your little things that you're thinking of, they already have. This is a lot worse situation than you think it is. And you are going to have to be a special kind of badass to get out of it. And the trick of the movie, to me, was that your opinion of Sage and Diego were not the kind of people who could get out of this. Little bit, yeah. Halfway through the second act, yeah, these two can probably handle it. They just got to get a little balls. But once the shit really goes down and you find out what this couple is, this brother and sister, that's when you get this feeling of like, there is no way. They are going to have to evolve a hell of a lot quicker and a hell of a lot more than I think they're capable of. And when you see that transpire, it's really cool. It's really fun to go, oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect them to be capable. Good. You're saying it both to Diego and to her, to Sage. Yeah, you're like, okay, girl, go. Didn't think you had that in you. Unlike your next, where she's like, I'm a military brat and I'm, survivalist. I know all these skills. Well, you didn't think that Diego and Sage, some uptown ultra yuppies, are going to be able to pull this kind of survival skill out their ass. You know what I mean? And so as you see them realize how much trouble they are in, and now it's either shit or get off the pot, but do one or the other, because you're not just going to sit there. And you actually see them rise to the occasion. That's when you kind of get that feeling inside of you, like, this is good. This is pumping me up. This is, making me root for them. And I really didn't expect these two dweebs to be able to pull it off. And seeing them pull it off gave you this psychological victory. That's what's fun about the movie. You have your expectations, and then you have what you're witnessing, and you see the evolution, and you get satisfaction out of going, I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't think the girl had it in her, and yet she's going, bloody me then. You look too prissy to be covered in blood and still be able to cut somebody up. And her answer was, bloody me then. I can be covered in blood like I just got out of the film, the spelunking one, The Descent. You can cover me like that bitch in Descent. I'll still be able to function. I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to lose my cool and start screaming like a bitch. I'm going to, you cover me in blood. I will still take these fuckers out because I care that much about my life. And you're like, yes, survival instinct. You may look like an uptown yuppie, but you got it. And same with Diego. It's like, you are such a nerd. You're such a dweeb. You ain't never going to be able to do, but then he picks it up and you're like, okay, man. All right. Okay. Show me your stuff. Show me that you've got it. So, as you see, I talk about movies a little bit differently than maybe some other channels do, because I am a film nut, and it's all psychological to me. I like expressing the actual, like, clinical, psychological reasons and behind films and what they do to people. And I sort of take you along the ride that I had. That was the ride that I was having during Bone Lake. Those are the things that I was feeling. And by explaining that to you, you can see how I was having fun. Because nothing takes the wind out of my sails more than going, oh shit, what a stupid bitch, what a stupid decision. You deserve to die. So I have a lot more fun when I'm like, I thought you were a stupid bitch and an airhead. I'm glad you're proving me wrong. We can rock with this. Let's go. Cut the motherfucker up. Do something with that axe besides hold it. So, by the time we get to the end and that terrific boat scene, the kill where they killed Will, that was awesome. But the things that were done to that Sin girl was very, very good. So, very rarely am I going to run across a horror movie with only 4 characters. Too bad, too good. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that's usually not the case. For this movie to just be 4 characters, and yet they managed to stretch it out for more than 90 minutes, which is another one of my check boxes. This is an hour and 34 minutes. So to be able to carry it the full length of what I call a full length film, with only 4 people, throw you around, give you hope, develop characters, give you a thrill watching them come into their own, surpass your expectations, and come out winning and giving you a film, a fist bump or a fist pump. That's a good film. And this was a really good film. And it's one of those that I guess should have been an ASAP, but it wasn't. But that's okay. I get around to getting my non-ASAP ones too. And I'm very glad to have this. Let me know what you think about it. If you haven't, I hope I've given you a reason to check it out. It is definitely really good to have in my collection. I did give it an 8 out of 10 on International Movie Database. I love it. And yeah, so we'll be back with the next one. We're going to go play with the fishies in the next 2. And I will see you then. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. Always remember, thank you for stopping by or taking a little time with me to listen to me run me mouth and jiggle me gob. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.